Hello everyone, welcome back. In the previous episode we fixed a bug with duplicate subscriptions and the ability to show whether you are subscribed or not to a podcast in the search page. So from here, when I subscribe to a podcast, I revisit this podcast here, I can then unsubscribe from this podcast, like so. Problem with this is that if I've subscribed to a podcast, I would like to be able to unsubscribe to it from this view. So that's going to be the aim of this video. But before I tackle that, I want to address a bit of a problem with the links here. You can see as I'm clicking these episodes, the view is changing, but the URL is not changing. Well, in some situations it is changing. So there's a bit of an inconsistency there. So I think what I need to do is I need to go through and look for all the occurrences of the times I've written hx.get and make sure that I've included the hx replace URL directive. So I need hx replace URL is true. Again, I need hx replace URL here is true. So that should be the first two. Here definitely has it. Here definitely has it. There seems to be an occurrence in here which already has it, and then finally in here which is missing it. So let's say hx replace URL equals true, and yeah, let's just make sure we've saved everything. Save. So we do a hard refresh here, episodes, index page, podcast. Do we have any more views? Yeah, so that's working. Okay, so now we can move on to our aim of showing the unsubscribe button. In the previous episode I alluded to trying to make this like a subscription page instead of a podcast page. The more I think about that, the less I think it's probably necessary. Might be something we can explore, but I think the easiest thing to do at the moment would just be to annotate the podcast with a value if a subscription exists. So looking at the Django docs, we can use this exists subquery to annotate things, but instead of posts here, we're just going to annotate the podcast if a subscription exists. I think before I started recording, I tried this in the terminal, so I can say my user is this. I can import all the models from my podcast, and then I can potentially do something like import exists in outer ref, so I can say podcast objects to annotate with the subscribed, and the exist subquery is going to filter whether the user equals the current user and the podcast is the current podcast that you're on. So if we do this, we're currently subscribed to Talk Python. So I guess we need to take this and plop that into our detail view in the podcast detail. So let's have a look at that. So here we have get template name. I think we need to override like the get query set, but let's just have a look at like Django detail view and see if they have any like actual examples. So this is detail view. What methods are available to us? Get query set returns the query set by default. I think maybe it's this one then that we need. So let's give that a try. Let's say def get query set self, and then let's just return something like this. If we copy this, paste that, it should format for us. We need to remember to import this. I don't think we have user either, so let's make sure we import user. Let's make sure we copy paste that properly. Okay, so but the user here isn't going to be that, it's going to be request.user. Okay, so let's refresh our page and just check that everything is still working. Request is not defined. That is absolutely correct. It's not, because it should be self.request. Refresh again. Okay, so now in the podcast detail, potentially we should have this object dot subscribed. So we refresh now. We are subscribed is true, so we can say if object dot subscribed. Then we want to show the unsubscribe button, I guess. So let's give that a go. And that was available in the search view. We had this here. So go back here. I'm going to say I'm going to call unsubscribe, but the URL instead of this is going to be the object feed link. Is that correct? Just have a look. Podcast feed link. I'm going to URL encode it. Okay, let's see if that works. In fact, I want that to be after the visit site. So if you're subscribed, this will show up, and I'm pretty sure you can only visit this if you have a subscription. Otherwise it should just always be false, right? So unsubscribe, talk Python, subscribe. Yeah, how else could we test this? Maybe if I create a different user maybe, and then they can subscribe to something. Let's just say users. Let's add a user. Let's just call you test, and yes, let's just use the same podcast as our main user. So blah blah. Let's not save that. Let's not save that. Let's log out as our current user. Visit here. Let's this time log in as test. Don't save that, and let's here subscribe to stuff you should know. Why don't the images appear here? It's interesting. Maybe it's just really slow JavaScript. Okay, eventually it turns up. So let's here subscribe to stuff you should know. Podcast, which might take a while because it's an absolute monster podcast. How's it looking? Maybe I should have picked a smaller podcast. Okay, and from here we can unsubscribe. So I want to kind of save this URL. So let's just go there, and let's log out as our current user. Yes, and let's log in as our original user. So this user has this. If I refresh this page, yeah, so maybe if they are not subscribed, we should just show them the button to subscribe. That would make sense, wouldn't it? So we can say else you can subscribe. If they happen to maybe stumble upon this page. Let's refresh. Let's make this success. Where are we? I'm not sure why there's so much padding around this this object as well. Subscribe. So if you subscribe now, what happened there? Ah, that's why. This should be subscribe. Go back to this. Subscribe. Nice. That was interesting. It kind of refreshed the episode list ordering. Or that might have just been me. Okay, so yeah. Okay, we're subscribed to those podcasts. Alright, that seems like a pretty good place to leave this video, and in the next one I'll probably see you with a different topic.